Over to you, Daniel. Daniel, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Over to you.
Samuel. All right. Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining another exciting edition of Speak with a Diplomat. On this day with us, we want to really appreciate all of you who are seated across our network of American spaces today for this event. We have in the house Alan Bishop, who actually will be having a discussion with us today as it relates to cultural exchange. We hope that you enjoy this program. And just for all of you to also note that it's a non-policy program. So please have a good time with us today this morning. I'll call on Samuel Eyitaya to go ahead and read his bio. So we'll dive into the conversation for today.
Samuel, I thought you were reading a bio. Oh, man. Okay, let me just quickly see. The bio is okay. I think what we're going to do, Alan, you're welcome to today's event, and we're so glad to see you. My name is Samuel Eyitayo. I'm the Country American Spaces Program Specialist. We're glad to have you here. Can we please put our hands together and welcome our guests for today? We have 29 American spaces, and they're all seated, eager to hear from you. You're welcome, Alan. Could you please tell us a little bit about yourself? Somebody who is meeting you for the very first time, just a short introduction about yourself. Over to you, Alan.
Sure, thank you. So my name is Alan Bishop. I'm an economics officer at the U.S. Embassy in Abuja. I've been here for exactly 1 year at this point. I've enjoyed my time in Nigeria immensely. Prior to serving in Nigeria, I have worked at U.S. embassies in Iraq, Portugal, Venezuela, and Russia.
Thank you. So we'd like to know from your perspective, what is diplomacy?
I mean, that is a broad topic, but I think in essence, it is emissaries sent out to negotiate and discuss topics of national interest between two different countries.
Thank you very much. And how does this affect the international relationships between countries?
Diplomats have the ability to shape the international relationships between two different countries. It is one of the great privileges and responsibilities of diplomats to negotiate the important issues of the day and build bilateral relationships between different nations.
Thank you very much, Alan. You could see from Bauchi, you can see some young people who are dressed in a particular dress. That's NYC. Those are Nigerian youths, graduates who are serving the country. And if you look through some of the other places, we have young people who would like to develop their career as probably as a diplomat in Nigeria. We would like to understand, how did you become a diplomat? What's your journey? What's your story?
I actually started out originally as an engineer. I worked in manufacturing in the United States, in steel mills and big diesel engine factories. I do not think I had the most traditional path to becoming a diplomat. But one of the things I found when I worked in those spaces is that international firms that incorporated elements and embraced cultural exchange and elements of different cultures succeeded very well. And it was part of that realization that led to my interest in joining the U.S. Diplomatic Corps.
Okay. What about your education? Did you study in the US or you started somewhere else? How did you, migrate from whatever course you did to becoming a diplomat? Because we have quite a number of people. You said you're an engineer, that's we shock several people because many people want to be a diplomat. We say, well, you better go and study international relations. But here you are, you're an engineer. So what's your education like? And then what's your experience wherever you did your studies?
Sure, that's a great question. So I studied engineering in university in the United States, and I worked as an engineer professionally after that. But I always had a really keen interest in international relations. And in the US system, you can pass an exam to be part of the diplomatic corps and go through some interviews. So I went through that process. Um, to join what is called the U.S. Foreign Service, which is how you join the U.S. Diplomatic Corps.
Thank you very much. You've been in the country for the past 1 year, and that's a long time, being in Nigeria. So how has it been? What's your experience in Nigeria?
My experience in Nigeria has been really eye-opening. I have not been to West Africa before, so it's been a real interesting experience to learn the different cultures and traditions that Nigeria has to offer in a country of well over 200 million people. As you all know, there are so many different regions and cultures and traditions that Nigeria has to offer that it's been exciting to learn and see many of them. I know I will barely scratch the surface of the depth and variety of this country by the time I leave. But it's been really great to see and learn so many new things here.
Great. Now, the topic for our discussion today is the importance of cultural exchange. What exactly do you have in mind in discussing this topic?
When I think back on my career with the State Department and all the different places I have been, one of the kind of key through lines between all those places and all the different jobs has been the importance of just the exchange of cultures between people. Um, Diplomacy at its core is about relationships and fostering trust and resolving conflicts. And I think one of the best ways to build a basis to do that is exchanging different cultures and traditions between peoples.
Great. So in Nigeria, like I know you must have probably tasted some of the meals in this country. Um, Probably you even love our attires. I would like you also to discuss what's your experience with food in Nigeria. Have you eaten jollof rice before? And have you eaten any jollof rice? I know you've not been to West Africa, but there's this war of which is the best jollof rice. So I would like to hear your opinion.
Well, since I have not eaten jollof rice anywhere else, I can definitively say Nigerian jollof rice is my favorite. Um,
Ooh, can you
the
see people
sauce,
clapping?
I do enjoy it. It's a real treat. And the different varieties around the country as well. But food is actually one of the things that I have found to be one of the more interesting things that you can experience around the world that as a diplomat. One of the things I challenge myself with on each tour is to try and learn to prepare a local dish.
Oh,
So in Russia, I learned how to make pelmeni, which are like dumplings, and Venezuela, arepas. Portugal was grilled sardines. Um, I welcome any suggestions from the audience on local Nigerian dishes I should learn to prepare during this tour. Um, but I think food is something that brings people together, and it's a great way to exchange different cultures and ideas.
that's great. That's great. What about the attires? Have you tried any of the attires on? Adire, do you have a gbada? any of these traditional garbs?
I've tried a few on. I can't say I own any, but I do have an Adare bow tie, um, and I hope to acquire a couple other items before I leave.
Great, great. I know there's something to do with diplomats. By the nature of their functions, they have to move from country to country. And one of the questions we do ask on this program is how does such movement affect you and your family? How do you cope, which, you know, packing and unpacking and having to be meeting with new people. You have to leave them, even though you love being with them, and then you go and form another, and then you keep moving. So how is that to you?
I think, like most people, the process of moving is always an experience and endeavor. Um, but I think what motivates me and my spouse to keep doing this is well, it's always difficult to leave people and the great relationships you've built in a place. You're always excited about learning new things in the next place you go and the connections you get to meet, the connections you get to make once you arrive there. Um, so there's always that promise of opportunity that kind of tempers the sadness of leaving.
Right. As this conversation is going on, all the participants, please, if you have any question, all you need to do is to raise your virtual hand and I will recognize you. And then you direct your question to the guest for today. Helen, I would like to ask you, are there any challenge that diplomats do encounter, when they are posted abroad? And if there are, what are those? And if you could list some, how do you overcome them? I mean, that's a compound, a compound question.
Oh, yes, there's a few things in there. As far as challenges, you have the logistics challenges of just moving between foreign countries, and getting your belongings and visas and things like that. Um, but then there's also just the challenges of making new connections in a new place that I think is a common human experience whenever you move to somewhere new, having to uh, meet new people and make those connections and kind of build a community. Um, in terms of overcoming them, I think you have to endeavor to be flexible and open-minded, uh, and frankly, a little energetic to make sure you hit the ground running in a new place.
Hmm. Energetic to be able to move in a new place. Now, the other issue which I have in mind is actually to differentiate between the traditional diplomacy and public diplomacy. I don't know whether there's any difference, but if there are, will you just explain to us if there's any difference in traditional diplomacy and then public diplomacy?
Um, I would argue that public diplomacy is part of traditional diplomacy, but I think I get your question. Uh, so there's the portion of it that is public, that's about building the connections and fostering cultural exchange, and there's also kind of the more specific engagement with different government offices at each location we go to bring up various policy, technical matters that we need to negotiate and discuss with each host government.
Great, great. Looking at the chat, do we have any question from any of us? Please, colleagues, please could you help me check so that we can also take some questions with our guest today. Participants, core members, especially from Bauchi, I can see you there. If you have any question, all you need to do, yes, I've seen your hand, I'll call you. Every other person also from Gombe, from Incidentally, we have so many today. I think the topic must be so interesting. Lekki, Ikeja, Abuja, Ibadan, Sokoto, please, if you have any question, this is your opportunity to learn more about Alan Bishop, and then learn more about his experience as a diplomat. Today's discussion is on importance of cultural exchange. So we go live to Bauchi to take the question. Please unmute yourself and ask your question. Please be brief, introduce yourself, and be brief in shooting your question. Over to you, Bauchi.
Thank you and good morning. My name is Matthias Precious. I want to ask a question to our speaker. And that question is, I want to know what are the skills you have that makes you eligible to be a diplomat or to be chosen as a diplomat, especially as a person who only studied engineering and not international relations. So that's my question. And another question is, what role do you play to ensure that you navigate through the cultural differences and also enforce your diplomacy? So that's my question.
Alan, I hope you're able to get the question very well.
I was. Thank you for that question, Precious. So you asked, what are the skills you think you need for diplomacy? I think there is a wide variety of skills you need in terms of understanding the technical and specific historical topics for a region, and then also kind of understanding how to facilitate discussions and negotiations on particular issues. You asked sort of my qualifications. I think I mentioned at the beginning that I have a fairly atypical background where I was originally an engineer and not a international relations major. But in the US system, you do have the ability to pass an exam and then also go through some training to make sure you have those skills.
Okay. Can we go quickly to Enugu? Enugu, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
All right. Good morning, sir. I am Okeke Chizroki, Guardian from Enugu. My question is, as a diplomat, what are the certain social skills that you have learned over the years that helps you to acclimatize to any society and environment that you find yourself in? As someone that moves from one country to another, you've interacted with various people that perceive life. So what are the necessary skills that you have developed over the years as a diplomat? Thank you.
Great.
All right. Good morning, sir.
Just hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. Alan, please go ahead.
Sure. So the question was on the skills to acclimatize as we move from one country to another. I think I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but I would say you have to be pretty motivated to overcome the logistics hurdles and just build that new circle of relationships when you arrive at a new place. I would also say patience. Moving between places and setting up a new home in different locations oftentimes requires waiting on a large variety of processes to go through. To your question on skills, I think the skills are multifaceted, but truly flexibility I would put high on the list in addition to all of the kind of technical and educational requirements.
Thank you very much. I used to have this boss who made a statement that stayed with me for a while. She said, "Blessed are the flexible, for they will not be bent out of shape." And that has really helped me. If you are flexible, nothing will move you. Thank you very much, Alan. We go right to Enugu again. Enugu, are you still there? You wanted to ask a second question?
Yes, sir. Okay, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Um, yes, you said that you have been in Portugal and in other countries aside Nigeria. So I want to ask, what are the what differences were you able to realize, when you went for diplomacy over there in Portugal and then you came to Nigeria? What are the differences which you were able to realize between Portugal and Nigeria? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Helen?
Sure. That's a broad topic. But in terms of differences between my experience in Portugal and Nigeria, um, one is the vastly different sizes and populations. So Nigeria has a lot of energy and young people, and um, Portugal, well, also dynamic and a very interesting place, has different climate and cultural traditions. I kind of think of the different countries not necessarily always in comparison to each other, but they're each their own category, if that makes sense.
All right. Thank you. Benicity, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay. Good morning, sir. My question is, how do you adapt to climate change when you go to different areas?
Do you mean like personally, just the different temperature climates of the locations that I go to?
Yes.
Well, it's not always the easiest. Everyone, I think, has certain temperature preferences, but part of moving around is you have to accept that a new place is a different climate, and you adapt in terms of the clothes you purchase, and then also you just have to accept what it is where it is.
Hey, Ibadan, over to you. Unmute yourself. Then we'll go to Maiduguri. Ibadan. All right, let's go to Maiduguri.
My name is Rhoda Godwin. Um, my question is that in what ways can cultural exchange programs enhance creativity, innovation, and economic growth in Nigeria and also in US? Secondly, how does the US diplomatic mission in Nigeria prioritize cultural exchange and people-to-people connection to promote US in Nigeria location? And then lastly, as an engineer, why not engineering? What is interest in diplomat?
Alan, very interesting questions. Were you able to catch them all?
Yes, I think I got most of them. I'm just writing it down so I answer them all. So you asked on how I see cultural exchange as enhancing innovation and economic growth. I think one of the great things about diplomacy and exchanging cultures is that flow of new ideas leads to new products and innovations in both countries. So I do see that economic growth is enhanced by the exchange of ideas. There are new markets for things based on ideas moving back and forth. Think of the creative industries. The United States, through Hollywood and music, has been able to share our culture with the world for many, many years. And it's also a big economic sector for us. And through Nigeria's creative industries like Nollywood, Afrobeats. Nigeria is also being able to share its culture with the world, but also it's a big employment sector and big economic opportunities arise from those cultural exchanges. You asked on US programs. So the US offers some programs to facilitate cultural exchange formally, like international visitor leadership programs and Fulbright programs that bring Americans and Nigerians between the two countries. And your final question was, why do I do this as an engineer than a normal engineering job? I'll let you know that in my time with the Department of State, some of the jobs I have done are more engineering construction jobs in addition to this job as an economic officer. One of the things I've enjoyed is being able to do a little bit of a mix of both.
Thank you very much. Ibadan, are you still on?
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. Good morning, Mr. Ellen. I'd like to ask if language has ever been a problem in your diplomacy relations or journey. And I'd also like to ask, how many languages have you learned, or have you learned any language during the course of this?
Sure. As you can imagine, many of those different countries do not speak English, so learning languages is very important to being able to exchange ideas and talk with people. In my career with the State Department, I've learned a little bit of Portuguese and Russian through my travels, as well as I learned French in school.
Let's go back to Bauchi. Bauchi, please unmute yourself.
Madam Cleopas Igbo, the certified SDGs advocate and architect. So my question to you, sir, is what are some of these opportunities, programs that will certify young minds like us towards diplomatic opportunities ahead?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
I said, what are some of these programs or opportunities that will certify young minds like us for diplomatic opportunities ahead?
In terms of programs, I would hope the one you're doing right here now, these Talk with Diplomat programs, are ones that can help introduce you to some of the things that American diplomats go through. And I know American Corners and Spaces offer large slates of programs throughout the year that, you know, bring some of the American culture and American cultural exchange to various corners of Nigeria.
Just to add to what Alan said, American Spaces are platforms for people-to-people engagement. What we do essentially is we engage, we educate, and we empower. We run several programs. So I will encourage you as core members, this is the opportunity to actually learn a lot from all these spaces, wherever you are. Thankfully, you are in one of them in Bauchi. We have 28 others. You can tell your colleagues, your friends who are serving with you in other states to also join us as well. Thank you very much. We go now to Uyo, and then we land on Zaria. Uyo, please unmute yourself, and let's have your question.
Good morning, sir. So please, we are trying to discuss the importance of cultural exchange. So my question is, in what way does cultural exchange serve as a bridge for diplomacy, not helping nations not only to negotiate policy, but also to foster mutual trust and respect and a lasting peace? Thank you, sir. That's my question.
Thank you. Alan, is that okay?
I think so. I think you definitely hit my sentiment that cultural exchanges do serve as that bridge between peoples and countries to be able to build some foundation to create ties and also a foundation of trust and understanding for negotiations between different countries.
Thank you. Zaria, please unmute yourself, and then we'll go to Maiduguri. Please, colleagues, if there's any on another platform, please, we're streaming already on our YouTube channel. So if you see any question there, please call my attention to it. Yes, over to you, Zaria.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Alan Bishop.
Can you move a little bit to your right so that I can see your face?
Okay. Okay. My question for our diplomats today is, in all of his traveling experience, what is your most challenging moment in all of this diplomacy across nation? And then for us who would possibly see and then take interest in diplomacy too, what will be your advice to young people coming up who would want to venture into diplomacy across nations? Thank you.
Alan, what to you?
Yes. I don't know if I can pick out the most challenging moment, but I can say one of them is consistently saying goodbye. When you are completing a tour as a diplomat, you've built all these amazing connections with the people and the place. And again, there's the opportunity to come that you look forward to, but it's always difficult to say goodbye to those people and the great memories you've had in a particular place. In terms of advice to young people, obviously continue your studies, and it's a career that requires, in my opinion, a lot of flexibility and adaptability. And any opportunities you have to hone those skills would serve you well.
Thank you very much. Benin City, you still have a question? If you do, please unmute yourself.
All right, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, thank you. My name is Tony Halim. Based on Mr. Alan's experience from different parts of the country that he has visited, I would like to know, what strategies do you use to build relationships with foreign officials? What are your strategies, the strategies you use to build relationship with foreign officials? Thank you.
That's a good question. It depends a little bit on who you're trying to build that relationship with, but I would say the basic strategies are quite foundational to just regular human interactions, which is you want to have a good greeting with someone, set up a meeting where you can meet them face to face if possible, and try and build that just basic rapport so that you have a foundation of some foundation of trust and understanding to begin any diplomatic discussions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Maiduguri, over to you. Unmute yourself.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. Yes, my question is somewhat related to that of my colleague, but I still want to ask so that you can enlighten us more about it. So my question goes like this. What advice would you give to a young person in Nigeria who has interest in international relations or a career in diplomacy?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Again, I think my advice would be to pursue your studies. I think a degree in international relations or a topic like that is definitely the more traditional path. and language skills are always helpful in these types of careers. And again, trying to make sure that you have developed skills around flexibility always are, and resilience are always helpful.
Resilience, very helpful. Thank you very much, Alan. I will now go to the chat box, and yes, I can see a question from the director of Benin City, Window in America. He said, "Thanks for your eloquent presentation. My question, please, if you were to be given an opportunity to positively influence the Nigerian economic terrain, what aspect would you want to influence positively for mutual benefit of Nigeria and also the United States?"
Well, I think your question gets a little into policy, and I think I was told we were going to steer a little bit.
Yes, we're not discussing policies
on this. But I would say in general, the U.S. Embassy seeks to facilitate economic growth for the United States, and hopefully also with Nigeria, in a positive economic relationship between our two countries.
Okay. There's another question which I have, and that has to do with studying in the USA. Many people who are listening to you are either in school or just graduated. What would be your advice to anyone considering to study in the US? From your own perspective, what will you be your advice?
Well, I would certainly look into it. The US offers some amazing universities. The university I went to, about 20% of all the students who went there were international students. And it was a great experience, I think, both for them and for the local US students to get to hear all of their different perspectives that they bring to the table. So if you're considering it, I know we have some really great, I believe, Education USA programs and things like that that can provide a little more information about studying in the United States.
Okay, thank you very much. I've been told there's another question on the chat box. Okay, it said, what area of technology do you work on with young people in your work as a diplomat? I don't know whether you mentioned that you work on tech. Did you mention anything tech?
I didn't, but the U.S. Embassy certainly engages on technical topics with on tech-related topics with the government of Nigeria. Again, since we're not going to go into policy, I won't get into some of those specifics, but Nigeria has a very large tech economy, as does the U.S., so it's a great area for economic relationships between our two countries.
So, Alan, in wrapping up this session, there's something which usually, when you are living in a particular area, you may not see opportunities as someone who is visiting the place, who has eyes for seeing such opportunities. I mean, you've been in the country for the past 1 year. Are there really opportunities in Nigeria for young people to grow? Are there things they can do that you have seen? Is there any general advice to these young people that are listening to you of what they could do within this country?
Yes, I think in my time here, I had the opportunity to interact with a number of young entrepreneurs in Nigeria, consistently really impressed by some of the ideas they've brought to the table. I remember seeing many of them at a NSAA sponsored pitch competition and just listening to all the different ideas that had made it that far in that process was exciting and exciting to see so many young Nigerians pursuing their business ideas.
Thank you very much. So there are opportunities here. That's good to know. Looking at the chat box and every other place, from Yola, it says, what steps do you take to prepare for a diplomatic mission? Do you understand the question? It looks...
I think that's a little broad, but I will say for the U.S. diplomats, between each assignment, there is a period of training, usually tailored to what you're going to do next. So if that location requires you to learn a foreign language, you'll get time to learn that language. If you need new skills for the job you're going into, oftentimes there will be some training for that specific role. So in terms of preparation, I think it's a good amount of training between each assignment.
Thank you very, very much. I think with that, we've come to the end of today's event. The time flew so quickly. We've almost spent an hour here. So Alan, we want to appreciate you. Is Daniel there?
Yes, I am here.
Okay, so please wrap up tomorrow's event. Don't forget. Over to you, Daniel, to appreciate our speaker for today.
Thank you very much, Samuel, for the moderation. Thank you, everyone. Alan, we sincerely want to appreciate you for coming on our program. We want to say a very big thank you. And we hope that all of our participants across our network for American Species had actually a wonderful time listening to you and sharing your experiences over the years working with the State Department. We sincerely appreciate you, and we hope that some other time we'll call you again to be on yet another exciting program of Speak with a Diplomat or other programs that we do have. Thank you so much for being on our program.
Thank you. Thank you. Can we put our hands together? Thank you very much, Alan.
Thank you.
We hope to see you again. Bye, everyone, and hope to see you tomorrow.